the ECAC stuff, or if he's gonna be on screen. Um,
Okay.
I do see character.
Looks
Okay,
very weird.
I'm gonna undo the blurry background.
Mine
Thank
looks
you.
weirder.
Yeah, it's the blurry background. It's
Okay,
not great background.
is that what we're gonna have?
We're gonna unblur it. There we go. Look, now we can see everybody.
Okay,
Now,
that's good. Better,
Okay.
okay.
I'll take one of those kind bars too, since you.
Okay, what kindly, so
I
that
don't care.
it's chocolate, caramel, almond and sea salt, or dark chocolate, nuts and sea salt. Okay, dark chocolate. Gabe, do you wanna, kind bar?
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate the ask though.
Tom, do you want?
Oh, I appreciate it. I just-
Okay. Ooh, what did you bring me?
Sorry.
Okay, so that's that. That's that. And Shutesbury. Oh. I don't know where the time went.
I know.
It's afternoon. I just,
Is 5:32, well, we haven't opened yet. That's one of the things I wanted to ask. Kristen says she can't hear us. Kristen, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can.
That's right. Oh, we had it on mute because we were trying to figure out the tech and
Oh.
things.
Okay, you're de-blurred now as well.
I'm not sure what was going on there, so.
Are we ready?
We are.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and call the select board meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. This is a hybrid meeting. The select board is in the town hall. Eric Stopper, Rita Farrell, and Melissa Makepeace O'Neill, along with our interim town administrator, Gabe Bulker, and one councilperson, Seifert. So I'm going to start off by reviewing the agenda. First thing, we will have public comment. After that, we have to review an application to the Franklin Regional Council of Governments for the what's known as DLTA, which is the District Local Technical Assistance Program, and we're looking to use some of the FERPAD assistance for the Lake Wyola Stormwater Erosion Task Force. Second item on the agenda, we actually had listed originally two items. One on legislation to create a trust fund. We're not going to be doing that tonight because the legislation has just been filed, but we are going to discuss a response to the Massachusetts Water Resource Authority's November 2024 study regarding extension of Quabbin water to host communities, of which Shutesbury is one. Then just a quick update on where we are with the administrative assistant job posting. We have two appointments tonight, Erin McGurl and Mariah Shore to the Historical Commission. Then we will be hearing from the Energy Committee for discussion of the plan to be submitted for the community choice aggregation. After that, a brief discussion on the environmental notification form that we received for the National Grid Transmission Line Harder expansion project. We have a revised municipal vulnerability program grant. So that's a grant we have received, and there's an amendment to the contract. Then we just need to talk about a scheduling of a poll hearing for an easement for National Grid for poles and wiring at 66 Leverett Road, and what issues there might be in terms of getting that hearing scheduled. Town administrator updates, and the last item on the agenda is we'll be having an executive session for reason number 3 to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, namely the solar bylaw lawsuit brought against the town of Shutesbury by Pure Sky and Coles. So why don't we go ahead and get started with public comment, and as usual, I'm going to ask if you have a public comment to use the raised hand feature and to try and limit your comments to a couple of minutes. And again, a reminder that we, except in extraordinary circumstances, we don't have a back and forth during the public comment period. If there's some discrete question we can answer that it's not really part of public comment, we sometimes do that. But otherwise, we cover substantive items in the agenda, and we take your public comments under advisement. And sometimes we are dealing with those issues during the course of the select board meeting. So, do we have any public comments this evening? Okay, Jennifer. And I don't always ask people to do this, but if you could just say your name and address, that would be great.
Oh, there I go. Okay, hi. I know I'm on the agenda, but this is on a different matter. I'm Jennifer Wallace, and I live at 22 Pine Drive in Shutesbury. And my comment is to, I have written a few letters. You guys are aware of my concerns, and I'm hoping that you might consider having a wider public hearing, not just encouraging the Boating and Safety Committee to have a meeting with public comment, but that there's a wider public hearing that would allow more back and forth and more discussion on these issues compared to just making comments to the committee. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Other public comments? Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and the first item on the agenda is one, Jennifer, I think you're familiar with, and I'm going to speak to. So that is to talk about an application to the Council of Governments for the Lake Wyola Stormwater Erosion Task Force. And just for folks who don't know, the DLTA is assistance that the Council of Governments staff provides to communities, and every year the town is asked for what they might need assistance with, and so we have to fill out a form. And we have the form before us tonight to then be signed. And I think something that came up, which seemed really appropriate for the DLTA, was discussions that the Stormwater Task Force has been having. And Jennifer, I assume you're here to speak about what kinds of needs you have and how this technical assistance might be useful to the committee.
Yes, and thank you for putting this on the agenda. So the task force met with FERCOG representatives in December, and we reviewed with them the work that we've been doing around locating drainage systems that connect town roads, lake roads, private lands, and dumping sediment into the lake. They also reviewed with us some of the finer points of the watershed-based plan, which was approved by DEP a few months ago. So there's a final plan. And their plan has some 3 categories of recommendations. The one that applies here has to do with best management practices, which we're calling structural interventions. So those are bigger scale projects that could help to deal with stormwater erosion and the discharge into the lake. And those issues are very complex. And at the end of the meeting, they strongly recommended our task force has a consensus that doing a hydraulic and hydrology study of the sites that they identified, most of the sites that they identified, would be one of the strong recommendations that we would make. The FERCOG representatives, when we asked them if they could offer help to us in identifying funding sources for not only a study, but for the design and actual implementation of some of these, which all of this has to be recommended to you all first. But we wanted to be prepared to provide a thorough recommendation to you in June that would include some of these components. So they said absolutely, they could definitely provide such assistance through this program, District Local Assistance. And they suggested that some of the things they could help with would be to create a scope of work with us that would continue to answer questions about what their findings were and what ours were, and to help us isolate potential projects that we might recommend to you, as well as funding sources for those projects. They could also, if we were interested, convene a meeting between us and some funding sources, talk about project ideas. And if we were able to do this through the end of June, they have funding that would allow assistance for writing grant proposals and tracking down cost estimates. That deadline of their, I mean, you might be more familiar with this process or the sequence than I am. Their funding for providing grant writing assistance seems to run out in June. Now, whether that renews again for a subsequent year, they haven't clarified. Since our recommendations to you aren't due until June, we may be able to have some of those sooner. I don't know how this very important, I mean, getting assistance for identifying funding, getting cost estimates and writing grant proposals could be really helpful, but that's an open-ended thing. So their expertise is, unparalleled, and the amount of research that they've done is amazing. I mean, this report is very thorough, and they've been very generous to meet with us once already without any kind of request. And we got a lot of clarity and a lot of direction from talking to them, and also a lot of reality checks. So they suggested that in addressing you today, that I request that, well, this was their suggestion, so I can't tell you guys that I'm endorsing this, although I am, and that is that you would list the task force assistance as your #1 priority on this application. And you have space apparently to list a few other priorities, which they recommend that you do list because it gives them a sense of the kind of help that different towns are seeking. So that's the nutshell, and I'm happy to answer any questions in more detail if you have them.
Melissa or Eric, any questions?
I do not.
I would just note that it says here it's due January 31st, which is.
Right,
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Pointing that out.
yeah. I had a question only because they provide all these categories. So, under climate change, adaptation and resilience, which / energy and environment seemed like the place where this would fit because they have,
Downtown district.
yeah, hazard mitigation. I didn't, what I didn't see was, what you're talking about is, assistance to the task force. I guess we can make up our own category. Is that?
I haven't seen the form, so I don't know how we might shoehorn into their form.
Yeah, so maybe we just pick one of these and then, obviously they've been talking to you already, so they know this is what we're looking for. So maybe
One of the things that she mentioned is that they can help to look at projects that would ensure structures can handle floodwaters and increasing flooding elsewhere. So
yeah,
the flow and rate of water draining from a watershed into another water body. So I don't know if these categories, generally would fit into any of their boxes, but.
yeah, maybe the
Page
mapping, page 7.
If you look at page 7,
Okay,
it's zoning and comprehensive plans.
okay.
So I think comprehensive plans is where we can put it, and we can attach a description of it, of what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Jennifer, can you identify who the person was you worked with? You said
Yes.
she a couple.
Yes, so Tamsin Flanders is the person who has been kind of filling in the blanks for me on how they could provide this technical assistance. The other person who came with her to the meeting that we had in December was Kimberly McPhee. So those two have been great at that meeting and answering additional questions. They've already provided us with some suggestions of other towns that might not be exactly in line with what we're confronted with, but close enough. And so yes, those two.
The other one, gave on the first page, the
Yeah.
mapping of flood-prone areas, because they do talk about watershed-based projects. And,
Do you think it should be in there?
yeah, I think because the committee has already been speaking with them, if we fill out this form, if we have a cover email that goes in along with this and say that, that the committee has been speaking with Tamsin and Kimberly, and they suggested, excuse me, they suggested that that's what we apply for, so we picked that
Right.
category for,
Right, so another, I have two suggestions. So she did say specifically, I'm reading from her note, list in the first position as, quote, technical assistance to Lake Wyola Stormwater Erosion Task Force.
okay, okay, that's what we will do.
And secondly, if you referenced the watershed-based plan, that is the plan that we are seeking to implement their recommendations. So that is an important component too.
Okay. What would be really helpful is if you could, just for what kind of you detailed as the scope of services, if you could send us a list so that we can just incorporate that into, I was taking notes, but I just want to make sure we have it accurately. And if you send that to us, then we can get this into them and we'll put that as the highest
Oh,
priority.
wonderful. Okay, and I just send that to the regular select board email
Send
address.
it to email, yes, and then, you want to CC to town
Yes,
administrator?
please, because I'm gonna have to put this together before Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh gosh. Okay, well, we really appreciate it. We really do think that they're going to be a tremendous help to us and ultimately to the whole town. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Just so the board, understands, we can put in other priorities.
They want you to do 3, so this is number 1.
Yeah. So the one other one that I thought might be appropriate, we haven't had the discussion. Typically, we would have sent this out to everybody, but that didn't happen. But the outdoor recreation and open space planning, just because there's been a lot of discussion about recreation, I know it's come up for CPA funding. So that was another one. And then we have the pollinator habitat plan.
We did,
We've
yeah.
done that already. And that was the other one, for me that there's nothing that I had seen around invasive species, because that was something else that I think there's a lot of interest in doing. And maybe we could just list it to see if there's because I know that the group that was working around invasive species was and knotweed had come before the Community Preservation Committee, and because it was going to be a town-wide study, it wasn't eligible for CPA funds, but maybe we can kind of fit it in here somewhere under one of these categories if the other select board members think that makes sense. Can you wait 1 second? Eric?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's a good
Do you
idea.
think that?
What page are
yeah.
you saying that on?
No, it's not here. I'm just saying that that, maybe
thinking
beyond
from
the pollinator habitat plan, if the invasive species covers like a lot of different categories, including protecting water supply, and other issues.
too, because it just digs over rivers.
Right, and stormwater
Yeah,
stuff,
right.
so.
Well, it does tell you to go to page 7. if you don't see what you
Uh-huh.
want in here.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tom.
I just wanted to point out that, FERC has established, like, they published the pollinator film for Shutesbury.
Right,
And under that rubric are all of the other things you're mentioning, like invasive species.
yeah,
Water, protection towards pollinators, so it's a good, I would say, like, they supplied that map already for us, I think, with vocabulary, and by advocating for a pollinator plan, one that they've already given us, we are also, getting an invasive species, because that belongs under that rubric. If you know
yeah,
what I mean.
yes. I think I'd like to look at that because I haven't read the pollinator plan
yes,
to
it is,
see.
like, you'll find invasive species and other topics in the whole
Right.
plan.
Right,
And I think that's the approach now, is to capture it all under pollinator habitat
right.
planning.
So whether do you recall if they had, I think what the group was looking for is like next steps. How do we initiate something in town to deal with invasive species?
I think,
And-
right, so they kind of offer how you would do that in a pollinator, habitat, or under the,
Right, if it's
Yeah.
in a pollinator habitat, but if
Yeah.
it's not in a
if
pollinator
it's not a
habitat,
pollinator habitat,
Right,
okay,
then-
yeah.
because a lot of the sites where we have the most invasive species are along the roadside, so they're not naturally pollinator habitat, but they begin to encroach upon, the side of the road, and for us, the big issue with the knotweed is that as soon as you have trucks, like
Mhm.
scraping along the side of the road, they're picking stuff up and then it's everywhere. So,
Yeah.
why don't I work with you on this and I'll take a look at the pollinator, habitat
Yeah.
study.
And we called ourselves a community of that nature at the last special town meeting. I know it's just a
Mhm.
resolution, but, I just wanted to say, I think, you might not need to, it's fine to add the phrase invasive species to it, but it might exist already under the auspices of pollinator.
Right, but yeah,
Even.
it's even not,
Pollinator.
right,
The whole community,
that's the
the whole
question.
community is
Yes.
considered like a pollinator corridor.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so I'll do a little bit of checking and then we can make a decision, but that was the other one that, to me, I don't know, seemed like, it made sense. I don't know how many they give.
Three. They want
They
three.
want three,
They normally only pick one.
right,
So we're gonna asterisk then one as
Yes,
being
yeah,
really
yeah,
important.
yeah, and I think, we can list the other two, and,
Yeah, I think we
Future
should,
years.
because if they find they have extra money for
Mhm.
they'll do it.
yeah, okay, great. So, do I hear a motion then to, apply for the DLTA, District Local Technical Assistance monies, for the highest priority being for the technical assistance to the Lake Wyola, task force? Second, outdoor recreation and open space planning, and third, invasive species.
Under the pollinator habitat.
Under the-
plan. So moved.
Yeah.
Second,
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Make Sonia, aye.
Stocker,
Farrell, aye. Okay, great. And, so I can check in with you tomorrow, Gabe. Okay. So, the next item on the agenda is, a follow-up to the, study that was done by the MWRA, which is the Massachusetts Water Resource Authority, and, they were, asked by our legislators to look at the potential for, providing water from Quabbin to, all of the Quabbin watershed communities, the 12 Quabbin watershed communities, and they did a pretty comprehensive, study, report. I think it was High and Bond that they contracted with, but, a number of the other of our fellow communities, including, Pelham, did quite a bit of research into the report, and I spoke with a couple of people from Pelham who went through some of the issues with, with this study. And some of the context is that the MWRA had also done studies, I think, on the North Shore and the South Shore for the same kind of evaluation of expanding water to those communities. And I think this study didn't really look at kind of the unique, that we're very different from the North Shore of Boston, and South Shore of
Very.
Boston. And even within the Quabbin watershed communities, there's some difference, we have Belchertown and Ludlow actually are part of it. And they're quite different from us. They, do have public water, but we have a lot of small towns, Salem, Peterson, Shutesbury, so forth. And what you have is kind of a, to address some of the issues with the study. And the plan is that, we just want to tell the MWRA that they really didn't give us a lot of time to, to look at this. They didn't engage in any kind of good basis with the communities, and recognize that we're really different from, even within our group of 12, but that we're really different from the North Shore community. So I think there was, to some extent, a template that they used with those communities that really didn't work for our communities. And, I did take a look at the numbers, we're just out of this world, I think, to serve, it was millions and millions of dollars that they said, and they could serve 70 households in the center of Shutesbury. So, the likelihood of this happening is pretty, obscure. It's not going to happen in our lifetimes anyway. But what it does set the stage for is legislation that has been filed by Senator Comerford to set up a trust fund. And so the first step in this process is just saying, we have issues with the study, you didn't talk about compensation, and then what's going to follow after the legislation is filed and it begins, they begin to go through the review process, is that we'll want to comment on it, because I think I had mentioned our last meeting that what's in the legislation is a $35 million annual trust fund for the 12 that the 12 communities could access, which would be a tremendous value, obviously, to us. So we wanted to go ahead. They're looking for these comments by the end of the month. And so this also has a deadline, and just wanted to make sure everybody was comfortable with this.
I was,
as drafted.
yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Thank you for drafting.
Yeah, I was.
Okay. All right, so do I hear a motion to send a letter to Executive Director Lasky and members of the MWRA Board of Directors, outlining our concerns about the Quabbin Reservoir watershed evaluation?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion
When to do that, we only have a question, do it say?
this week?
Okay.
Yeah. Tomorrow's gonna be a busy day.
I guess.
At least this is cut and paste on.
Yeah, it's done. It has to be put on, we can do letterhead.
I
and
have the
send it with it
electronic.
as an email, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
you just attach it, but I like to at least have a signature on it that I can scan the letter in.
Oh, okay, so I could sign it? So, like where it says, from the town of Shutesbury Select Board, like to sign it at the end?
If we put it on letterhead.
Yeah.
We'll attach it, but we'll sign it and scan it in and
That's PDF.
attach it.
Oh, okay.
That way it's a real letter and then not, just an email message.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, all right, that's great. Okay, so all those in favor signify by saying aye. Makepeace, O'Neill, aye.
Strucker, aye.
Farrell, aye. I just had one sort of administrative question. So do we put our names, like Town of Shutesbury Select Board? Should we be listing who the members are of
We
the
can at the
select
end.
board? And we'll just do it
You
at the
can do
end.
it at the bottom.
Okay.
And like you would a regular letter.
Okay,
You don't have to, because the chair signs. typically,
right, right,
Representing all of you, but
okay,
you
all right.
can, it's just how you want to do it.
okay, all right, good. Thanks.
But
Michael.
on the behalf of, and then list all.
Okay, okay, great. Okay, so administrative assistant job posting, we're ready to rock and roll?
I believe I sent you just a simple draft of what it looked like.
Yeah, did you get my edit?
No,
I thought I sent it.
you may have, you have to understand, I'm inundated.
No, no, I did.
Oh, you
I
are?
didn't want to send an email.
I did, I had a few comments, but I forgot to send them to you, but, so
Do you want to send?
I'll do it tomorrow. I'll
Okay,
work,
send us, yeah, if
Yeah.
Gabe, if you want to just toss them my way, I'll put it together.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, send it to me.
okay, all right,
What I had suggested was putting what the minimum qualifications of the job was, and then adding the website where the job description could be looked at.
okay.
That was-
And I think the only other question that I had was who does the administrative assistant work for? Because it was always written in the job description that they worked for the select board, but were supervised by the, it's just an awkward.
It is, and that's why when I did the ad, I wrote select board / town administrator, because they really are working for both people.
Right,
And so it is hard, it's confusing.
yeah, okay. All right, so,
I think before it was a select board secretary position, right? But
right, that's how
before,
we.
even 20 years ago or before, I think it's just kept that. But, we had changed it to admin assistant, so we could change it to having both as.
We can take it back and clarify, it won't stop somebody from being hired.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
But
and
we-
we just make sure in the job description,
Yeah,
right,
Yeah,
that
take
it's,
it back to the
yeah.
personnel board and the changes we wanna make
Yeah,
to
okay.
be inclusive of that.
okay. But we just, yeah, we want to get the ad out, and for, folks who are listening, we are gonna be hiring an administrative assistant, for 32 hours a week. And we expect that that person will be in the office 4 or 5 days a week,
Monday through Thursday, 4 days a week,
yeah,
8:30 to 4:30.
right,
Yep.
yeah.
Eight to 4.
Okay, so that, I don't think we need a vote on that, to just go ahead
Go
and,
for it.
yeah. All right, so the next item on the agenda is the appointment of, Erin McGurl and Mariah Shore to the Historical Commission. And I see Mariah is here with us. Anybody from the Historical Commission?
Henry.
Henry, oh, there's Henry. Yeah, hi, Henry. Are you there, Henry?
Hello there.
Hello. Do you just want to introduce, Mariah, I see here, but I don't,
Absolutely. I don't see Erin here. She said she was gonna make it, but I don't see her here.
I don't see it on our list either.
Yeah, we had two folks volunteer and we voted them in. They're both interested in the archival project. I'm working on the archiving of the town hall holdings. And this is very much in brief. Erin Girl actually has quite a bit of experience with this kind of thing. Library science kind of background. Yeah, both are gonna be working on this project. It's gonna require a lot of time. Just to go through all the documents and just, as long as we're mentioning that, I got wind that, that the town may be throwing away a lot of documents and, there may be some that, that might have historical significance, so, we'd like to be maybe a part of that process. If there's anything that might be salvageable, might be of interest.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, we can talk about that at a separate time. Yeah, some of it is, like old checks that no longer need to be saved.
Business
Yeah, it's a business, right, there's no historic documents or anything like that, that's,
Okay.
and for disposition, yeah. Okay, and Mariah, are you there? Do you want to just introduce yourself?
Hi, sure. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Mariah Shore. I live at 7 Baker Road, the old Baker Farm, and I'm hoping to get a little more involved in the town. And I have been working digitizing people's family archives. So that's something that's of interest to me. And I was definitely interested in being a part of the archival project. With the Historic Commission and seeing how it could be of use.
Great, great, good, thank you. Any questions for Mariah or
No.
Henry?
No?
No? Okay, so why don't we take these separately? Do I hear a motion to appoint Mariah Shore to the Historical Commission? So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stucker eye.
And Farrell, aye. And do I hear a motion to appoint Aaron McGurl to the Historical Commission?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stucker eye.
Farrell, aye. Okay, congratulations. Very happy to see some new faces. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and you do need to swear in anytime before the next meeting, all right?
Yeah, so you need to see the town clerk, Grace Bennett, to get sworn in and get all of your accompanying paperwork.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I have to go. I have a sick goat, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Mariah is a farmer too. Thanks very much
Thank
for coming this evening.
Appreciate it.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is
Thank you.
a discussion. I'm not sure if anybody, oh, Nate Hurd is here. Discussion with the Energy Committee for the Community Choice Aggregation Plan, which we all received a copy of. Well, I started reading and I'm like, whoa, I just started, my eyes only drifted to the part where it talked about the select board will do this. I was like, okay.
Well, before I start, I just have to call ECAC to order, it's just 3 of us.
Okay, so Nate, did you want to go ahead and call ECAC to order?
it's me.
Oh, it's you. Oh, sorry.
I did call it, yeah.
You did, okay.
But Nate is the expert, I guess I'll just set it up, and then Nate, if you wanna fill in the details, but, so. Well, first I'll say Colonial Power, who's our broker, sang Gabe's praises, she's like the star student.
Are you gonna take care of all this, huh?
Well, that was the question I had tonight.
So that was just sort of the setup. The thing to know about this, so it's confusing to me, it might be confusing to you. The clarity is important, I think, for residents, but this is a new process, so everyone apparently has been complaining for a bunch of years that the DPU, which manages this, is really slow. So like when you went through it, I think it might have been like 1.5 to 2.5 years to wait, and it got revamped. So now it's a few months at max, which is pretty incredible. So this is the first time through, so things are in flux. But the deceiving thing is, this is a plan that gets submitted to DPU. it's not Shutesbury's plan. And so the thing to think about is, well, the whole idea of community choice aggregation is there's the strong likelihood that we would have a plan that would save money over National Grid. There's another option that would meet green standards, and then we can have, one or two other options that are different versions of green. Those things are the products that we would be offering residents and they would sign up for. This is not the product. So when they say the plan, it's not really our plan. So basically DPU looks at this, identifies, like you said, Rita, like, this is who's identified to doing what. This is the process everyone agrees to. It's an opt-in kind of thing. All of that logistical outline is what they're approving. And the way Colonial expressed it to us is they want it to be as broad as possible, because if DPU approves this plan and then we change something, we have to go back and start again. So they want to make sure that it's inclusive of everything. So whatever we can come up with is in the bounds of the plan. So that's the setup. So Nate, anything you want to point out for that questions?
Yeah, I mean, I would mention that Colonial Power Group visited our most recent ECAC meeting, where we had a chance to, pepper them with questions. I think that I'm not overstepping to say that ECAC members were, impressed by their presentation and their sort of facility with the process that's required to get the aggregation approved. Maybe just like a couple of other just sort of logistical points. The aggregation plan would need to be posted to the public for a minimum of 30 days. So if the select board approves moving ahead, we would post it to the ECAC website. I believe we would want to have a hard copy, maybe a few that would be made available at town hall for folks. DPU has stressed the importance of including residents who are hard to reach, might have limited English proficiency, or just might not check, the ECAC website that often. So if there are sort of additional sort of typical means of communication that the town uses, we would also want to look at those. And then after that 30-day review period, the select board would have another chance to, review that feedback and then vote to approve the aggregation plan or not at a future select board meeting. And at that point, that sort of 120-day DPU review period that Michael mentioned would commence. So that's sort of the bounding of that review process. That timer would kick off after the public review and after the select board has had a chance to review that feedback. You'd have more time to dig into sort of the technical bits. But yeah, I just wanted to tee that up because that's an important part of the timeline, I guess.
So Nate, I think for the select board, what they're doing tonight is considering approving posting it in the public, so that we can start the public posting process. And then we would come back post comment period to ask them to approve it with any amendments.
Yes.
So it's a good question about how, always communicating kind of what's going on is the tricky one, and reaching populations that don't either have computers, that sort of thing, because we could do, I suppose, a town announce, right? To say that this is available, on the website, get people back. But a lot of people don't go to the website on any kind of regular basis, checking the website. So a town announce is a way of getting into people's personal emails saying that this plan is out there. There's a 30-day comment period.
You could also leave a copy at the library.
Have a copy, right? Mention that there are copies at at the town hall.
Because I think most people who don't have internet connections are older, so, you know, if you make it available to council on aging, that might be helpful.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's.
Yes,
There's a
yeah,
pretty large
yeah.
group there that, would the elementary school put a small little thing in there?
Yes.
Newsletter?
Mhm.
I forget the name of it, I apologize.
Road
Town news, right.
Is there a simple statement that you can make that can go?
There's
in?
a canned one already available for us. And so one of the things
Okay.
Colonial said is they encourage us not to tweak the language because they've already been in conversations with DPU and it's already been vetted, but they did give us language to post on the website. So I think we just take that and put
Okay.
it in the town announce or, you know, put it in the road town or something like that.
Well, I'm wondering if you can accept the tax bills have already gone out, put it in the mailing. Put it in your tax bill as a mailing,
That.
because it saves all the
We
postage.
underutilize that.
Yeah, we
You
do
guys don't
underutilize, I know,
use it.
yeah.
And really it should, because it, especially for important things like that, because they're gonna read it.
Yeah, and something money related.
Right, but they're out already.
They're out
so we don't
already.
have a- we
So
don't
the
have that
next, but
option.
you can do it the next time as well, when she does it in, June.
And by then we'll have the products out.
Yeah.
It's best to do
Yeah.
it when you have the products out, because when they receive their mailing in the mail, they think it's junk.
Yeah.
And they pitch it. So we really, really have to educate so that they open it up and don't think it's junk. That's the biggest issue you're gonna run into is
It's for people signing up.
for people signing up.
yeah.
Because they'll think somebody's trying to sell them
Oh,
something.
right,
Yeah.
Circular file it goes.
It's another energy company.
They don't realize
Right.
it's for their benefit, yeah.
right, and I suppose if it was on, like, town of Shutesbury, you know, that it,
It should
It
be
came
first thing
from-
on the webpage. I probably won't be here anymore, but make sure it's on the front and
Okay.
center.
Yeah.
And then mail your what I call your shut-ins, people that don't look at their computers at home. See, I believe they have a listing, the people who mail your newsletters out, have,
The COA definitely does.
has the
Yeah.
idea of who.
who would need to be
Right.
sent directly to.
Right.
Okay, so for purposes of now, you want the select board to, approve this 30-day review period
Right, so we
and
can post
to,
it.
so that it can be posted and, we just need to understand who's doing what.
Yeah, so if you look at your document on
Yeah.
page 4. And may catch me if I say something wrong, so this organizational structure grid,
Mhm.
so this is where they outline basically who does what.
Okay,
So the municipal representative agent for the department, that would be both us as a town and then Colonial as the consultant.
mhm.
The liaison with DOER would just be Colonial, and the liaison with National Grid, with, and the few, folks for Eversource would be National, would be Colonial. Procurement, this is where we'd be involved as a town and Colonial for developing the products. The product determination would be us, and that's, I think, ECAC would come up with recommendations and then make the recommendations, select board would approve them.
Okay,
I'm not sure what other funding cost is, but we're doing it, whatever that is. Customer enrollment is the utility. So people will call and enroll directly with National Grid. Customer notifications, us and Colonial, ongoing program information, us and Colonial, which would be their website and our website. In fact, they've got the website already built out for us, so that what we would basically do is put a link on our website to them for the information. So they're gonna, what they said is, they maintain the website with all the information, and all we have to do is point to their page, which is great. Program termination, we would decide, so we can terminate at any time, but what they emphasized is, with this iteration of the program, you don't want to terminate, because then you have to start the process all over again, where in the past, you could terminate, and then you could pop back in when you were ready. But we're not there yet, because we're not even in. And annual reports, they do, which is great. Customer services, I think, them with a combination of what we want to do. You know, like send people to name these questions. So.
Okay, do you have
Like
any,
that, right?
wisdom to impart other than making sure people understand that this
That's
is,
your biggest challenge, is making
Right.
sure that they're aware of it.
Mhm.
So advertise it.
right,
It's a good program. It's a good.
and
program.
good, okay, so did you have it in orange or?
Yeah, we did it in orange, and then once a year they come in with the bid prices, that's time sensitive, you have to make a quick decision. Cause they come in and you only have a small window to, it's just like oil bids,
Uh-huh.
and you pick which
yeah.
one. And what your combination is, whether you're doing natural, oil,
Yeah, you could do wind.
wind,
Mhm.
what kind of combination you're doing.
Yeah.
So.
And how much savings were people realizing, do you know?
Quite a bit in the beginning, I can remember, we had a lot of people go over. I have solar, so I don't get an electrical.
Yeah.
For the last 5 years, I have
Oh,
not paid any
oh.
attention to
Yeah. What the,
electric
yeah.
cost.
yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
And it really, what they told us, it really depends on the pricing of the market. 'cause
Right,
you know,
it
where you come
fluctuates.
in.
yeah,
And then the products, because some people might not care about, the pricing so much as the sourcing.
right, I see, yeah, okay. All right, so just in terms of doing a, town announce, about this being available, do we figure out how to do the town?
We can, but I think it's too premature to do a town announce, you're gonna ask.
Yeah, I think just putting this on the
Yeah.
website would be.
Okay, do you
It's
think
just
that's
30
enough
days.
comment
Yes,
period?
yeah.
Okay, we don't have to tell people that,
You'll confuse them. if you
Yeah.
oh,
do.
okay,
Because that's what I was saying, this is not. the
yes,
farmland.
right,
No,
no, I know.
There's stuff in here that I had issue with, like, wait a second, we didn't decide that, that's misleading.
Oh,
And it's
okay,
all it is placeholder language, but
I
it
see.
confuses you.
okay, all right, good, so we don't need to do that.
I do see Gail's hand.
Okay,
Oh, no, it's down. Okay.
Gail, did you have a question?
Well, I was just wondering if we wanted to use the town announcement to tell them that it's on the website.
That's sort of what I was thinking about, it was
Oh,
more that
okay.
the plan was available. For the public comment.
You can
period,
read about
right?
it, learn about it, go to the website.
But I think, like, yeah, on one hand, making it people aware of it makes sense, because we're doing a notice. But I think we have to be careful about how we explain it, so that we don't confuse people, and they start reacting to things that are not, it isn't what it is, they think it might be.
Yeah, that this is just the aggregation plan.
It would be important to let them know it's more boilerplate than.
Yeah, this is a bureaucratic process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah, that's. Okay, so do I hear, a motion to move forward with the 30-day review period for the Town of Shutesbury's Community Choice Power Supply Program Aggregation Plan? So moved, well said. 3 times fast.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? I can read, It's amazing. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Make peace and aye.
Dr. I.
Farrell, aye.
That's all falls out.
Thank
Anyone
you.
move to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Nate, 1 second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, how do you vote, Nate?
Aye.
Yeah,
Fly shaker eye.
take care, we're adjourned.
Okay, great.
Nice
Thank you.
work.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Gail And Nate. Yeah, good that we're moving along.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is we wrote review of environmental notification form for the National Grid Transmission Line Corridor Expansion Project. So this is only a 600-page document.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, so I know you've all read it.
Yeah,
So we got notification from, National Grid. So the environmental notification form is a complex, document that's assembled when a, company such as National Grid is going to be doing, a project that involves, a serious impact to the environment. And the project, quite simply, is they are clearing the area around power lines, and I don't recall where it starts, but it's a wide
Central
swath. It's many towns are involved, and these are power lines that go through Shutesbury and then go on to quite a few other communities. And, in the clearing process there, in the process of doing the clearing, they will be going through wetlands, they will be clearing brush, they will be hoping to spray pesticides and herbicides to kill vegetation. So it's pretty significant. This is the first step in a process that I'm assuming is going to take quite a while. But we have an initial window here. Obviously, as they go through the towns, they're going to have to get permitting and go before local boards that have any jurisdiction over the work that they're doing. So this is the first time I'm dealing with this, as far as I know, this particular board is doing. So I'm not sure what we do, but I did see that in the past, that FERCog actually has done, I think there was a Mass Electric ENF, environmental notification.
One thing that I was told was that, so this comes through Shutesbury down the bottom right corner where the substation is. And it'll go across Eversource also, that's the one for commented. Eversource has one that's very close, also in Shutesbury. We're the only town among all of these, we're both of them come through. So that's the first one, which I think I forwarded to you guys.
Yes, so we have that one. So I was wondering if, and I don't know who asked them to do that. I mean, is this something that I think we have, it's just till February 13th, if I remember correctly. There was a 30-day comment period. Do you know if FERCog is providing comments on this ENF?
I emailed them, I assume they are, and I emailed Joe Comerford, she said their office is looking into it, so I think they'll respond, and I'm pretty sure other towns are as well, so, like, I looked at the email I got, I looked at sort of the distribution list, and I think it's like 13 towns or something, really big between us and the coast west. So, I mean, what I can understand, because I've never dealt with this either, is that this is really the town's opportunity to point out things that they want. So this is notification pre the MEPA process. And so the MEPA process has got to be all this compliance and like there's rare species and there's cutting down trees and all this stuff. So I don't think we have to be experts in it. I think we just have to be able to say, based on what we know and also what we don't know, these are our concerns. We like this process to identify what's the impact of wetlands, what's the impact of pesticides, what's the impact of forest cutting, that kind of stuff. I mean, the other one that was not obvious to me, it's actually, there's a couple pages in there where they sort of like say it does this, it does that in terms of effects. It talked about roads. It only talked about paved roads. Pratt Corner, obviously, is not a paved road. They're gonna have a ton of heavy vehicles on the bottom of Pratt Corner around the substation. So, and that part of Pratt Corner is like a car and a half width. So like, that's something we would want to know from a public safety perspective and also road maintenance. So I think it's a matter of just coming up with a list and submitting it from the town, saying these are things we're concerned about and we want information about it as it goes forward. I think, if I get something back from FERCog, I can share it with you guys, but I think just doing that puts them on notice that.
Right, that we're paying attention, and these are the things. Gabe, I know you sent something out to the planning board and to the Conservation Commission. I'm pretty sure saying, do you have any comments?
I did.
Did you hear anything back?
No, I was just looking to see if I saw anything come in that I might have missed.
Right.
We have another meeting in the planning board.
Oh,
next, so-
okay.
Yeah.
So, Michael, maybe you said you contacted, who was it at, FERCog that,
I think I contacted Jessica Atwood, who's
Okay.
the planner.
okay.
Well, actually, no, I included Linda as well. but,
Oh, so maybe, okay. It'd be nice not to, reinvent the wheel here and to give Gabe any more to do than she's already doing. So I'm wondering if you would be willing to draft something for the select board, and if you, speak with FERCog and/or if there are any other, municipal officials from other communities. It's always good if they hear the same thing from multiple communities. I mean, just like with the MWRA stuff, we're working with the 12 watershed communities to get the message back to the MWRA, so.
I'd be happy to. I mean, I actually got the email sent to me from Judy Eisman, who's the chair of the planning board for Pelham, so
Yeah.
I can check it.
And
Judy knows her
that's
stuff.
what I got from her for the MWRA stuff.
Yeah, no,
too.
Yeah, so,
It
I
looks
mean,
very familiar.
Yeah.
so Judy's writing something. I definitely ask her
Yeah.
what she's doing.
Yeah, that would be great. And then, so it was the 13th was the deadline,
Yeah.
and so the select board meets again on the 11th. And we could, approve it that night if everybody's, good with that. Yeah. That work?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
So I'm just unclear, at what point do our conservation commission, they get to weigh in on this, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually not sure if the local boards get, but I guess.
Because of the MEPA process?
Yeah, there's,
I thought
yeah,
that
because
they
there's
did.
there's a page towards the beginning of the document. And
What
it
is
says
the BEPA process?
It's Massachusetts Environmental Protection. So
it's
you
like
have
the
to,
EPA for Massachusetts.
yeah,
And
Okay.
so the thing, one of these pages, it said the permitting process that they had to go through,
yeah,
and there's like a gazillion state, let's see if I can find it really quickly. I can't, but there's a gazillion, here we go, page 3 that I was using. So.
Between 2 and 4.
His eyes all over the place.
What was
go to odd pages only.
Yeah. Anyway, I saw a whole bunch of state agencies have to approve, like DPU has to approve it.
But how could you not have to, I thought that there had
Because it's
been,
big enough, so like, if you think about the clean energy law that just passed,
yeah,
that's new,
Oh,
but the
right.
way they did it is there's small energy and there's big energy, and so
Right.
this is transmission lines.
That's
So it's
good.
under the purview probably of DPU, and then, DEP probably gets involved because of the wetlands. DCR probably gets involved because of forests, so it's like all the state folks. I don't think
but
that
even
they're-
if we had more rigorous regulations than the DEP, which we do in our wetlands.
I could be wrong, I just
Okay,
scanned.
I thought I remember there being
Yeah.
discussion when this was first mentioned,
Yeah.
that they were gonna be
Okay.
coming, but that could be mixing up with the Eversource one too, that, maybe they're.
Yeah. I
they
did
have
not
a different-
memorize the 602 pages. so.
No, I tried.
Yeah, you need to really memorize page 3, huh?
Okay, well, we'll find out more, right?
Yeah, and I will be happy to draft something and,
Okay,
you know,
great,
I'll send it to Gabe in advance.
Yeah,
Great.
that way we can let
Great.
him review
Yep.
it.
Yeah,
yeah, that would be great, and then we'll put that on the agenda for the 11th.
thank you.
Yeah. Respond, February 11th. Okay, good, thank you, Michael. And stick around, more to come with you. So the next item on the agenda is to review and sign the revised municipal vulnerability program grant. And I see Elaine Paleo here, who is gonna tell us about what is changing, and just quickly, the MVP grant that we received from the state. Initially was covering solar installation panels on the library roof, and at their encouragement, we applied for a backup, which would have been a truck for the highway department. They used that as the battery backup, and for a whole variety of reasons, that did not make any sense. But we had been encouraged by the MVP folks. So subsequent conversations have happened with the staff that has resulted in a change to that plan. And Elaine, if you want to just give us the rundown on what we're looking at here.
Okay, well, basically, thank you for thinking of this. And what we're doing is, originally they did have a Ford Lightning truck was the backup for our solar system, which didn't seem feasible, and it was not going to do what we needed it to do. And so we have revised the project, and we are going to have a battery backup. It's in design stage. It has been designed, and we have gotten the initial design phase, and we have been in touch with the MVP folks, and they would like you to sign off on this revised grant proposal, and they agree to it, that it will be a battery backup. We will still need a roll-up generator, because this is only going to back up for approximately 8 hours battery storage. We don't have enough capacity to back up any more than 8 hours, but it was enough to get a roll-up generator to be able to come up and do backup for the library. And so they're waiting for your sign off on it, and they will approve it. Ha. She says confidently.
Elaine, you said roll up generator. What does that entail after the 8 hours? Roll up.
We're going to have both. We're going to have the battery backup for the solar battery backup, and then obviously that's only going to work for 8 hours. And so we're going to have a roll-up generator pad available. And so we would, depending on what the storm is, and depending on, how long the outage is going to be, we would want a roll-up generator for any further power outage.
I was just curious. So more of a traditional generator.
Yeah. We will not have a generator on site. We'll have to, it's one of those things that, maybe we'll need it someday, but let's hope we don't. But we'll have the capacity, and we'll have all the infrastructure available to provide for it if we need it. But the MVP grant will not cover a generator.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mhm.
Just for clarification, that will we, the town, own such a generator, or will we?
No,
we just
no. We would rent it.
rent it? Okay.
Yeah.
So Elaine, I know that they had that 10% match requirement. So is that met with the library?
Yes. Yes.
Library, the funds okay.
Yes.
And in terms of the battery backup, do they pay for the housing of the battery?
It does not need housing.
Okay.
Nope, it sits outside all by itself. It's three components. We've designed the batteries and the pad, and we haven't priced it out yet because we want to make sure that we have the grant in hand, and you're the next step of signing off on this amendment, sending it to MVP, and then having them sign off on it, and then we're going to cost out. It's really just the pad that we're not costing out yet, because we had originally had a smaller pad, and now we're going to have to increase it to it's 3 large batteries, but they stand alone outside. They are weather resistant, supposedly. I'm told.
And so there's no issue with fire, just because it's come up, obviously, with, you know, when we've been talking about, solar and, we had a battery bylaw.
No, it's all within the confines of what we already have in our solar bylaws.
I have good news.
Oh, okay, Michael.
So I talked to Mary Ann about it like a month ago.
Oh, okay.
So the battery they're gonna get, it's a lithium iron phosphate battery,
Oh.
which is the one that is more stable and less apt to get the sun.
Okay,
So always a chance, but the likelihood is much lower.
Oh, okay, good,
Mhm.
great, good, thanks. Just, you know, want to make sure. Okay,
I thought initially too, there was a problem with the design of the library where there wasn't any place to put the pad. Is that, am I just making that up in my head, or is that?
You
was
are
that-
just making that up in your head. We have the place. We have it designed.
I like that.
so, we're getting an additional $57,000, is that correct for this?
Yes.
That's, okay.
Yeah,
So the new amount is the new grant amount is $279,660.
yes.
Okay, so, any other questions? All right, so do I hear a motion, to approve the execution of the, standard contract form between the town of Shutesbury and the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs for the, amendment, contract amendment for the municipal vulnerability program? So moved.
Second.
Okay, sorry. I got a frog in my throat. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Thank you, Sonia.
Dr. I.
Farrell, aye. And Elaine, do you know if, we submit this like, how do we submit
Yeah,
this?
you'll sign it and
Electronic?
I'll send it to them tomorrow.
Thank you so much. They're waiting for it.
You are.
The
left
contractor?
side, yep, the left side bottom. The state's on the other side.
Okay. Today is the 28th.
It is.
Mm.
Okay. There's only one, you only need
There's
one.
only one, but I
copy?
made copies, yeah.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Elaine.
Sure.
So,
Thank you.
stick around. I know we have more from you. So the next item on the agenda is we have had a, request from National Grid for, to have a poll hearing, and which would include just, approval of, the, installation of poles. Again, we're talking about the, lot 032, 66 Leverett Road, library site, and National Grid, needs our approval, needs the select board to approve, poles and wiring at 66 Leverett, but also an easement, because some of the wiring is, will be going, under Leverett Road.
No,
And
no, it will not be going under Leverett Road. It's going
Not-
over Leverett Road.
Okay, okay, good.
We
All
are
right.
not, that's why we're having a poll hearing, because we want to put a pole up near
I see.
the entrance to the library. It will go across the street from the pole that is across the street from the library site. And then it will go underground from that pole to the library. So it will not go under the street. No, 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 no.
Underground, once it hits the,
Once it's at the pole at the library site.
okay,
So you
all
need a
right, good,
receiver
so,
pole and a conduit.
right, okay, good. I was under the,
However, Donna had a problem with that paragraph in the easement. For future, yes, and so she wanted to make sure that in the future, we could put culverts in, or if we had drainage problems, she said we had to talk to the highway department.
There is,
And-
you can put culverts in, you could put, I mean, the pole is going to be on the library site. It is going to be off the road. It's going to be on the library site. And from the pole, we will be going underground. We are not going underground anywhere near where the town would be doing culverts or any of the digging or anything.
And Gail Huntress did echo in by sending an email
Yep,
about the,
broadband. And
Yeah.
broadband is never in the same conduit. What they are going to do is they're going to have a duct bank, and the duct bank will have both the electrical and the broadband, but they will be in their own conduits. They will not be touching each other or in the same conduit. They will be in the same ditch is what I call it. I mean, where they're going to dig the trench, but they are going to be in separate conduits
that going into the library site.
into
Yeah.
the library site. And so, and along the way, we are going to have, I forget what the technical terms are, but there are stations along the way, because it's a long driveway, where they can get into the conduit if necessary.
Okay, so they can access it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we have to schedule, a hearing. It has to be published.
Mhm.
And then we have to notify the abutters
Mm-hmm.
and,
7
so,
days at least before the hearing.
right. And I know something that just, as kind of an aside, something that came up was, Grace mentioned that we have a very low fee for, that we charge. We can now charge higher fees to cover our actual costs, because we accepted some section of the general laws that allows us to, use cameras like 22F or something like that. And, so I just wanna talk about that for a couple of minutes after, but, the first part of this process is then doing an ad.
Yeah, she has to do, think it's the town clerk that does the ad, but I'm not sure, I don't want to
Okay.
speak for her. So we have to do an ad, and I think her concern is covering the cost. of the
Yeah,
ad.
did she, I sent her an email back today, just said, what is the cost of?
She emailed me, I was told that the cost was $40.
They said
but
$40,
we
yeah.
usually don't collect. So that confused me, so,
That was what we were charging them, but ads are much more expensive than that. I thought legal ads are,
right,
yeah,
so
so
that,
that's what I was trying to say, like, what do legal ads cost
it
us?
could be a couple $100.
That's what I thought,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm wondering if we don't wanna, just, why would we go to them?
I don't know, and we have to, National Grid needs to be billed for it.
Right,
They're
that's
asking
probably
me
what
for a
happened.
bill. They're asking me for a bill, and I couldn't give them a bill. I don't have any history of us billing them. So
So we just make something
I'll
up.
make a bill, I'll make an invoice up on our letterhead.
but could we set the fee tonight at $200?
I think we could, oh, that's what, I was giving.
I know. Higher, 500? Do I hear 1,000?
Please.
Don't worry, it's National Grid, we're all paying for it, right?
Then they'll
Yeah.
never come and do this.
Oh, they
Oh, they
will,
will.
don't worry. Yeah, I mean, maybe we just set it at $200 and assume that, I know legal ads are expensive. Do you have any experience with?
Yes, obituaries, and they're extremely expensive, so
Right.
they're by word, I think legal ads are by word too.
They are.
You know, so, you know, depending on what paper you put an obituary in, it could be $500.
Right.
That's not a.
So do we feel comfortable just setting it at $200 for the fee for the poll hearing?
Can you do 200 or the exact amount of posting?
Of the advertisement, yeah.
Can you do
But
that?
we won't know until,
Right, so you could say.
they want to bill
fee.
now? Do they
and-
want, you said they want?
Yeah, they want to bill.
So why don't we just set it at $200 and then we can,
Adjust it next time?
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, if they can't wait, we could do it more too, and then.
Well, that's what Mark was
Or we
saying.
could do this, a deposit of $200, the balance depends on the amount of the ad in the paper, or something of that nature. So you at least recoup all your costs.
Right, okay, why
Yeah,
don't
that's
we,
a
why
good-
don't we do
That's my
that?
point.
Right,
Okay.
so, you know,
That's a good
a
idea.
pre-bill of
Yeah,
$200, if it's
Yeah.
over, we will bill the balance after
Okay.
posting.
okay. So do I hear a motion to, charge $200 for, poll hearing, for permits for poll hearing?
Do we want to put the rest of that?
Yeah, a $200 pre-bill
Oh.
of posting.
No, I think
oh.
we, and then,
And then if it's more, we'll
okay,
bill balance
okay,
after
okay.
posting.
You could, I mean, you could just say, there's the fee of.
It's the, whatever the posting cost.
The
is.
deposit-
But they wanna bill now,
Pay your deposit.
okay.
Yeah, there you go, deposit, we could, start your thing over, I'll finish it, go ahead.
Okay, so, do you want me to?
Yep, start the first one, I'll take the rest, the last half of it.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to, charge, $200 for, poll hearing with,
If the ad is over 200, balance to be billed after posting.
we
And then
could just
we
say
might as well get all of
$200
that.
to cover the cost of advertising.
Right.
Yeah, then it's.
Toward the cost.
Toward the cost.
Toward the
And
cost
then
of
the
it.
balance to be billed after posting. I think we should get back the full amount.
Okay. All right, so,
Never been a business that we didn't mind getting billed a little later, maybe,
well,
maybe.
you know, the electric company, come on.
But they're paying bills, anyway.
Yeah,
It's insignificant to them.
All right, so
Significant.
do we think that we can do this whole hearing at the next select board meeting? Do we have enough time to, how long does the advertising have to go on?
7 days.
It has to be advertised for 7 days.
That'd be posted, it would have to be in the paper by the 4th.
We have 2 weeks from now.
It's really close. This week is shot with my time. Cause I'm already overdone.
It would have to be posted by the 4th, to be 7 days, or the 3rd,
Of February.
so next Monday.
So we could have a scheduled meeting after that, right?
You could schedule a select board meeting on the 18th. It's not in your normal cycle, but don't put any other business
It could be
on,
just
just
that
have
one.
the poll hearing.
I won't be here, but. that's good.
Yeah, that's fine with me,
Okay.
or just make it the next regular select board meeting. I mean,
Well, this is,
Is that too late?
is there a time constraint here, Elaine, always?
There's always a time constraint. I mean, the clock is ticking, but I mean, I I'd rather have it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, okay.
If you could
well,
have it on
the
the
eight-
18th and just have a poll hearing.
Yep, okay.
That's fine with me.
That works for
Yeah.
you, Melissa?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, all right. And that takes some of the pressure off of you, Gabe.
So do you notify National Grid?
Yes, we will notify them.
Okay.
Please notify National Grid's Jennifer of the hearing date and time. Okay. Do we have sample ads? Or you think
We'll have to
Grace
find
has
one.
it?
I've never done.
Yeah, I think we had to do them down at Lake Wyola, didn't we, when we put in that new poll?
Oh,
Um,
that's right.
thing?
It's interesting. I've always had National Grid bring me everything. Here's your ad, here's your, so this is the first time I've ever heard that I've had to do all of this,
Right.
so I find that interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
I
Yeah.
hate to ask this, but did you grant the easement? Did you approve the easement?
Easement is part of the poll of the hearing. As far as I can
Don't
tell,
easements
right?
have to be granted at town meeting,
What?
or can the select board grant
I think the
easements?
select board,
You've done it?
granted the
An
easement.
easement, where was it?
I was
Early one?
confused about whether the easement was separate from the poll hearing, but that,
We granted an easement for Coles to put a truck or
Okay.
landing going into the woods.
Yeah.
In
No,
Mixed.
like those are
Yeah.
back,
Mhm.
no water, well.
So that was, we did that in the select board meeting.
So you probably wanna put the easement, I did not ask Dawn, I asked Dawn if she'd seen it, because I was trying to get the history on the easement to see if it had been approved, and she had never seen it, which is why she came up with her questions.
The last easement I remember was that piece by the.
oh, yeah, we did it.
That was a lot of.
You
I
did grant it?
believe we did it, didn't we? Didn't we grant the easement
Yeah.
for the highway department? And,
But that was, I mean, it was a while ago.
Right.
So do you want me to put the easement granting on the February 11th?
That was actually at a town meeting. Isn't that a town meeting we did that?
No, that was the property thing.
Oh, that was it. Okay. That's right. Yeah.
I'm confused about where the easement language is. I see the map and it's exhibit A, and where is it? I thought it was within the,
It was sent separately to me by Elaine. Didn't you send it, Elaine? I can look.
I
Yeah.
did.
yeah, because here it says, they're asking for permission to, erect and maintain poles and wires. Also for permission to lay and maintain underground laterals, cables and wires in the above or intersecting public ways for the purpose of making connections with such poles and buildings. But that doesn't mention easement. I thought that was gonna cover the easement. I think it's part of it, Elaine, so we're not gonna do it tonight, so we just need to verify if it's done separately or it's done as part of this, as part of the vote on the polls.
Okay.
So we'll have to double check with, Donna, and maybe if I could read this again. I thought I recalled seeing something around the easement that was incorporated in here, but I could be imagining it. I'll take a closer look.
Well, there is something, it doesn't say the word easement, but there's just something at the last paragraph before where National Grid signed it that does talk about the reserve space. the one cross arm, which is the
Right.
telephone pole. But it doesn't really say, it says your petitioner agrees to reserve space for one cross arm at a suitable point on each of the said poles. But it doesn't really talk about easement, just the space.
Oh, here it is. Also, for permission to lay and maintain underground laterals, cables and wires in the above or intersecting public ways for the purpose of making connections with such poles and buildings as each of said petitioners may desire for distributing purposes.
Doesn't it
So-
say underground though?
To underground, also, yeah, it will be underground, so they need the easement on the library site.
Okay.
So that's where it's
From the
underground,
pole over.
from the pole
Not-
into the actual building, so that's where it is.
The other thing I'd wonder in that very last paragraph, whether or not we should also put internet. I mean, should we just change that? It's just that like telephone signal wise, I mean,
Where,
tele-
where's,
the very last paragraph, where? No, it's right here. Your petition agrees to reserve space. Are you reading that? You read that before?
oh, here,
Yeah. That sentence does not, for example, have internet in it. It
okay,
has-
we can just put internet,
Yeah.
yeah.
If we're gonna sign something, it seems to me, and have the
Communication.
right to reserve space.
Yeah, communication, rather than put communication,
Okay, so I think
in
that
case it ever changes. to
The-
something different.
the easement is part of the granting of the pole. Because it's here, and then it says, I hereby certify that the foregoing order was adopted at a meeting of the select board of the town of Shutesbury.
Yes,
Okay, so we should be good.
Yeah,
So
it should
the
say-
8th, there'll be a special meeting on the 18th.
and it will be a 7 o'clock meeting or what time?
The 18th can't be because the FinCom meets at 6:30. So
We'll do it
that's gonna be
5:30.
5:30.
Yeah,
5:30? I just,
Yeah.
I want to let people know.
yeah.
So 5:30 on the 18th. Thank you so much.
Okay,
We move forward.
No,
thanks, Elaine.
Yep, thank you.
Um, okay, so moving right along, the town administrator updates.
do we do minutes? What we're gonna go with?
Oh,
So,
you know what? didn't
I
see
goofed
that.
because I told you about the minutes.
Yeah.
12, 10, and is it 11:26?
11:26.
Yeah.
But I didn't put it on the agenda,
Agenda. So we'll do
so
it next time.
can it go under me or does it?
Let's, I'd rather just put it on the next
next
meeting.
agenda?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay. I just got them, so I sent them out.
yeah. We're catching up, which is a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we've gone back to July. So the highway is working on the
Can I
FERCog.
interrupt you for one
Yeah.
moment? We have a person coming in from the waiting room. It only has an A on the guest, and we'll let them in and ask them to identify themselves immediately. Hi, can the person who just entered with A as their name please identify yourself?
Okay.
Thank you.
So Gail Hunter sent us a request
Mhm.
for us
Yeah.
to ask the board to disband the broadband committee.
Yeah.
Do you want me to put that on an agenda? Okay, so I'll put it on the February 11th.
Yeah.
I am getting a ton of emails from people who want to discuss the Lake Wyola bylaws. What do you want me to do with them all? Should I be sending them to you to review
Yeah.
publicly, or are you
Getting
reading
them.
them, or?
I think those, and I've been looking at, not all of them, but I think they're really directed towards the Lake Wyola Boating and Safety Committee.
Mhm.
So the committee is meeting, I think tomorrow night,
Yeah.
is it tomorrow night?
Yeah.
And I think our response is we're not responding to those because they're basically saying, don't change the bylaws. But I think what Jennifer Wallace mentioned this evening that we should discuss is whether or not we want to have any kind of a more community-wide discussion. And, the committee isn't really set up to have a community-wide discussion. So what's happening right now is people who don't want to see the bylaws changed we're responding to an email that was sent out to say, tell the committee you don't want the bylaws changed, and we're just getting copies of it. I think this board needs to decide whether we want to go beyond that and, ask the committee, either ask the committee or we could do it ourselves to have any kind of, and we could wait for the committee's report. I don't know what the timing is. And then have a more, a public discussion that's either jointly done with the select board or the select board does it if the committee doesn't want to do it. So that needs to be discussed, but we're not going to decide tonight.
Okay, I just wanted to bring it up,
Yeah,
so I knew how
Yeah,
I should deal with all of it.
yeah, yeah.
What I've done, just so you know, Gabe, is we've had another couple of things like that, where I cataloged everything in an Excel sheet. We use that as a reference point for something. So if we decide to, I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, are you asking?
So you don't.
No, it wasn't for you. It was just letting you know. No.
You don't need to do
It
anything.
was something
Yeah.
from my past that I
Admin.
did for my, yeah.
Okay, so that was beginning to concern me because it's been going on since I've been here, but it seems to be accelerating and there's a lot.
Well, it was, what happened was there was an email sent out from, I think from the Lake Wyola Association asking people to weigh in.
Yeah,
And so as a result of that, all these
Mhm.
emails got generated.
they're good, there's a lot of good ones in there, so
Yeah,
but I have been reading them.
Yeah.
So I just want to update you on what I'm working on, because I think it's important. A lot of people are beginning to come to me with things that need to be done. And I'm creating for the next TA folder, because there's absolutely no way I can keep up with all the requests that are coming through in the emails. And I really have to pick and choose. I feel bad about it because there are things that need to be responded to, but it is just overwhelming on the schedule I'm on.
Yeah.
And I literally can't give more time. So what I'm gonna start working on is the FinCom has asked me to put the budget together and start plugging numbers, which means revenues and all of that. That's gonna take up that time that you have me here for. So the other things that keep things rolling are gonna have to be put on the back burner, because I can't stretch myself so thin that I'm doing that. Setting up the agenda every week is tough, especially once you don't have an admin. So I know we're working on that. We're gonna try to get that out. I would hope if we get a couple of applications that we go ahead and interview. I'm just telling you my concerns about that. I'm telling you that my next few weeks are gonna be budget occupied.
yeah. So we
and
could do that. I mean,
capital
I
planning.
figured out
You work?
I did figure out finally, like, how to do the agenda, but I don't see why we couldn't take that over as long as we had agreement. I mean, right now, it's something you can do, under open meeting law, you can talk about the agenda,
Housekeeping.
so it's housekeeping. So, for example, is whoever's leading the meeting, I know we've done in the past, like I've been sending you the list, right? But everybody, Melissa could put the email out and say, Dave,
Your items.
Eric, Rita, do you have any items? And you just do it. Or I do it, but you're gonna have the next couple of
Yeah,
meetings,
yeah.
so, because then I'm gone.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
so I'll do that.
Okay,
Yeah,
it just will give me some relief,
yes.
because now that I'm having to do bills and all the mail stuff again.
Is there something we can help you with?
So Gail our accountant has offered to run the bills,
Oh, good.
in the next couple of weeks to keep up with those. I still have to open them and go through them and see what they are.
Right.
I do need to see that. So my day, the first thing I do when I come in is the bills. So I have been putting off reading emails till later in the day because there are so many of them. And then I go through and pick the ones that have important, like deadlines. ARPA, not ARPA, there's an ARPA report that's gonna be due soon. I am bringing someone in who's gonna do the annual report.
Oh, good.
So I'm meeting with them tomorrow. So the big thing is to get some of this stuff that is mandatory, like the annual report,
Right.
on its own train track, so that it's going. But those, I just wanted to tell you, there is a struggle there, with the hours and the quantity. And it ebbs and flows. It started to slow down and then it was like, oh, I shouldn't have said it.
Well,
So that
I mean, like Loyola stuff is an example of something you don't need to worry, you don't
Right.
need to worry about.
The
You don't-
DLTA will hammer that out
Yeah.
tomorrow and get it out.
Yeah, and I can help with that.
Yeah, and Jennifer sent me a really good review to put in there, so
Okay.
that's good, but I just want people to know that.
Yeah.
I can't, and I am starting to do future, town administrative things that need to get
Great.
done.
Great.
Policies, stuff like that, that people are looking for.
Yeah.
So that was it.
Yeah, good, thank you, thanks, Dave, you've done a tremendous job. It's been wonderful having you here. So, the last item is, the executive session, and, we are going to, go into executive session, for reason number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, namely the solar bylaw lawsuit brought against the town of Shutesbury by Pure Sky and Coles. An open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the town. And so I have declared that we are having an executive session. I want to first have a vote to invite Michael DiChiara to join us during the executive session. Thank you, Tom. So do I hear a motion to include Michael DiChiara in the executive session? So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace on the aye.
Farrell, aye. Got through the purpose. We will have a majority vote and recorded roll call to go into executive session. And we will not be returning to public session after the executive session. Okay, so all those in favor of going into executive session, oh, and Gabe also is joining us. Sorry, I just figured you're here. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Makepeace on the aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Okay, we are in executive session.